Hello and welcome to episode 11 of the BroncCast, the official Cal Poly Pomona Athletics podcast. I am your host, Tyler Lobe, the Assistant Athletics Director for Communications here at CPP. This week's podcast features several of the individuals that work behind the scenes in our athletics department to make sure our department continues to run a well-oiled machine. I sit down with Scott Tsuji, Pam Donnelly, Jenny Heimstead, Mike Farrell, and Sarah Macias. We discuss how we continue to work virtually during these unprecedented times to serve our student athletes. We revisit the most memorable moments that our incredible teams and student athletes have given us throughout the years. Why the word Broncos and the word family is often used together around here. And after a lopsided trivia battle of NCAA Division II mascots, we offer some words of encouragement in these trying times. Here it is, episode 11 of the BroncCast. Welcome to another episode of the BroncCast, as I'm joined by my fellow support staff here in CPP Athletics. We'll go around the screen for introductions, beginning with Scott.
My name is Scott Tsuji, the Assistant Athletic Director for Academics and Student Services. I think I'm going into my 18th year here at Cal Poly Pomona. Prior to Cal Poly, I was another Cal State University working in academics in another area, but happy to be back working with student athletes. And yeah, that's me.
Hi, I'm Jenny Heimstead. I'm the Assistant Athletics Director for Compliance and Internal Relations, and I'm going in my 7th year here at Cal Poly Pomona. And I've also been at 2 UC schools and another CSU, so I stayed here in California, all in the compliance industry, athletics compliance industry, and that's me.
I'm Sarah Macias, and I'm the Facilities and Event Coordinator, and I'm going into my 2nd year at CPP. I guess I'm in my 2nd year at CPP.
Hey guys, I'm Mike Farrell. I'm the Assistant Athletic Director for Marketing and Promotions, and I am starting my 3rd year with Cal Poly Pomona Athletics.
My name is Pam Donnelly. I am the Assistant Athletic Director for Business Operations, and I'm starting my 6th year with Cal Poly.
And plenty of you who have seen the BroncCast, obviously I'm Tyler Lobe. I'm the Assistant AD for Communications. This is my 3rd year here, and I came from Sonoma State, where I was there for 9 years. And prior to that, I was a student at Central Washington University up in Ellensburg, Washington. So this is the majority of our support staff. Also want to name drop a couple of people. Obviously, we had the Assistant AD for Sports Performance, Rum Malisarn, on here with his athletic training and sports performance staff earlier this semester. Also want to throw a shout out to our Faculty Athletic Representative, or our FAR, Dr. Laura Chase, and our compliance intern, who has stepped into a very important role in the office ever since our previous assistant to the director, Sonia Campos, retired last year, RP Bagamian. And then, of course, I want to mention our senior staff, our Director of Intercollegiate Athletics, Brian Swanson, and our Senior Associate Athletics Director, Stephanie Duke, both of which I will have on a future episode. So stay tuned for that in the next couple of weeks. First off, just wanted to go around and this is where I'm going to insert a clip from Office Space. And if some of you have seen Office Space, there's a clip in that movie that says, so what do you do here?
You see, what we're actually trying to do here is we're trying to get a feel for how people spend their day at work. So if you would you walk us through a typical day for you? Yeah, great.
And I know that's exactly what Mike was expecting me to ask, and that's what I'm going to ask everybody. Scott, your office, you are the Assistant AD for Student Services. Your office always has a line of students sitting outside of your office waiting to talk to you. And now that we're all working remotely, obviously that doesn't happen. So kind of explain your job a little bit more detail and how maybe it is transitioned into reflect how this world is today with everything being virtual.
Well, yeah, it is quite different. My office is many times busy with students outside my door. The work environment where I do see student athletes is different. I'm used to seeing them in the hallways or walking around campus or at their practices or whatever face-to-face interactions is typically the usual way. So it's quite different now because I don't see that. I can't go see games. I can't go see practices. I still connect with our student athletes through Zoom, of course. It is a little bit different or a lot different. There are things that, just a few things that I can do that I couldn't do in person. For example, the share screen kind of function is pretty good working with students that I only have one screen or two screens in my office and I can't flip it around to see the students. So that's one interesting area. But the thing that's lost is the personal interaction with our students, that connection, that opportunity to see them, like I said, through the hallways and answering their questions and out in practice and with their coaches and team meetings and compliance and all those kinds of things. So that's definitely one thing that's not only affected me, but I'm sure a bunch of the academic and student support offices across campus. And I don't know if you wanted me to answer the question about what I do, but that's what I do in the sense of being the academic support for our student athletes in terms of them making sure of their academic responsibilities, meeting their NCAA eligibility and rules and compliance. I think everybody knows NCAA student athletes are students first and then athletes, but it's a little bit more, I'll say, complex than that, in that our students have to know and be responsible for knowing their academic curriculum, the courses they're taking, exactly where they go. Every student athlete should know. The thing I'm always going to ask them is to check their DPR. That's their degree progress report that tracks their academics. It lets them know, the classes that they're enrolled in, whether they count or not. So it's not so much of me doing anything for them, but it is more of me making sure they're aware of these requirements and helping answer any questions that they have, as well as our support staff in doing so, making sure they're getting the best Division II experience they can at a great place like Cal Poly Pomona.
Absolutely. Now, Jenny, your job as the compliance and internal relations person, this time in COVID-19 and with seasons getting canceled and the NCAA sending out brand new words every day that a lot of times don't make sense. Even before all this happened and all this stuff happened, there's always new interpretations of the NCAA manual coming out and new situations that no one has ever seen before. Kind of talk about your role in how you interpret different things from the NCAA and how you keep people eligible and let people know how they stay eligible and whatnot.
Sure. So yeah, as a compliance officer, I am in charge of making sure we're enforcing all the NCAA rules. But before I can do that, providing a rules education to coaches and staff and student athletes so that they know what the rules are. So a lot of times the rules are very confusing and you can't explain every situation in every rules education session. So there is a lot of interpretation, but a lot of my basic job when providing rules education is to provide that really basic legislation to let student athletes and coaches and staff know that there is a rule out there that's related to eligibility or their amateurism or getting a job or competing on an outside team. Just so there's a lot of rules out there. But yeah, the legislation does change every year, pretty much. We have either some amendments to old legislation or right out just getting rid of it legislation or providing brand new legislation. So it always changes, keeps me on my toes, but it also keeps the coaches and the staff and student athletes all on their toes as well. So it is a little bit of a job security. But yeah, so I do know that the legislation can be pretty confusing. It's even confusing for myself. And so we do have access to obviously other colleagues in either a conference or a division, but we can also, we have access to our conference assistant commissioner for compliance, as well as the NCAA. So we have a lot of resources to make sure that we are providing the correct interpretation and the legislation so that we don't violate any NCAA rules.
So basically, you are the one that says, hey, Mike, you cannot bet on college sports, right? Yeah.
That is correct.
Yes. Okay. So, Mike, you got that? No March Madness this year. Don't go to
Sorry, I was muted. I didn't hear what you said on that one.
Don't worry probably... about it. We'll move on. Sarah, you are the events and facilities coordinator. Obviously, we have no events, no facilities that are open on campus because none of us have been on campus, but there's been in athletics, there's so many projects that can be done that none of us ever have time for. So you've been able to work on some of these projects and kind of go into detail about one, what you do when we're functioning normally, and then kind of what you've been doing since we've all been home because of this whole COVID-19 situation.
For sure. So in a normal year, I help, with the behind the scenes of games and practices, overseeing the equipment room and the laundry, as well as game day staff and setup and tear down, and special events. So in a normal year, that's what November we would be doing. But during this COVID period of time, I've been doing a lot of, I would say, work that was put off for the summer that I could do on the computer. So because we're at home. So a lot of audits, a lot of going through and organizing inventory. And I know our facilities are closed, but we still have like grounds crew working. So they still kind of report if anything is going on campus, if they notice anything. So just still being the liaison between departments. I still do that on a daily basis. What has been new is just all the Zoom meetings, right? So special event meetings we have on campus at Cal Poly with all the event coordinators of different departments. So we still meet over Zoom once a month. And then we've been incorporating new practices that we have been training people on, like 25 Live, that we still don't know how it'll work because we haven't had any events on campus. But being able to educate people and educate myself, this is just like the perfect time for that. Because I wouldn't call it downtime, but I would definitely say like every project that I put off for the summer when there's no games has definitely been happening now. So I think that's kind of what I've been handling. And currently my big project, which I'm excited for, mailing out certain things to student athletes, which is exciting. Any sense of normalcy is huge. So that's kind of my big project this week. But other than that, just staying busy and helping where I can is really what I've been doing lately.
Mike, our marketing and promotions guy, obviously this time has probably been the most difficult for you because your job is to market and promote our events to get fans and students to come out to our games. But now with no games, no events, your job, you've had to become creative and figure out a way to keep our brand fresh and out there in the public spotlight. And so kind of explain, kind of like the rest of the staff, explain what you do normally, and then explain kind of what you've kind of pivoted into during this time of COVID-19.
Sure. Yeah. So my role has it's like there's a bunch of different avenues that my office oversees. Primarily the one marketing and promotions, like during the game, we'll see the in-court promotions, dealing with sponsorship activation, halftime performances, all the stuff that the entertaining and the fan engagement aspect during a game is something that I oversee. But because of our current situation, like you said, we have to be creative. And so we kind of shifted our focus. Instead of looking at fans during this time, we're kind of shifting our focus and using this to reach out to our student athletes, give them a platform to have their voices being heard, and give them the opportunity to do something outside of competition. And so that's really how we're shifting our focus right now is providing a platform for our student athletes, giving them the voice, with the BroncCast and stuff like that. Just trying to be creative and be different, and just trying to continuously put content out. One thing that we've been doing over the last couple of months is really trying to showcase our alumni and our history. We've had an abundance of national championships and even more West Region championships and CCA championships. And so we're trying to get those alumni back involved. And so that's really what our focus has been during this time over the last 9 months is getting our alumni back in and really bringing pride behind our brand. And so that's really what our focus has been. We've been doing a lot of stuff with our branding and our working with our rights holders and whatnot. And so that's really how it's been trying to become creative, is trying to think outside the box, because without sporting events, what is marketing supposed to do? So it kind of forces you to think differently.
And I know that a couple months ago you had gone onto campus to get to dig into our storage room upstairs, and you started scanning a whole bunch of photos that are up there and gathering dust. And you mentioned our alumni and how important they are to Cal Poly Pomona, not just of alumni of the sports that we have now, but of sports that are no longer a part of our department for whatever reason, back when they were dropped because of financial issues or other things, the football, the softball, tennis, badminton, gymnastics. I mean, we had a lot of sports that are no longer in our department, but we have a bunch of that history up there, which is fantastic to go through. And it's almost it's really cool to go through all that stuff. And at some point, once we get all that digitalized, which is probably the most time consuming thing that you could ever do, we will be able to focus on alumni, not just from the current sports, but from discontinued sports, which is really exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when this whole started, you and I went over to campus. I got about 15 boxes full of photos and archives, and just been working over the last couple of months. And I'm only about probably halfway through. And so just digitizing our history, finding out a bunch of cool facts about our program. You mentioned about some of our defunct programs that are no longer existing, like our tennis program. Our tennis program was one of the most dynamic, powerful programs in the conference. I mean, there were, I think one year we won national championships in back-to-back seasons. We had All-Americans. We were so powerful on both the men's and women's side. And so kind of going through this stuff is really, really cool to see what our history is for programs that we don't have anymore, like football and the water polo and the gymnastics and stuff like that. So it's very cool to kind of dig through the archives, and we got photos going back to about the 70s. So it's really cool to kind of see a lot of the old stuff and, bring it forward so our current fan base can see this stuff.
Absolutely. Now, Pam, you are the business operations person. You're the one that everyone goes to when they either need equipment purchased, they need to tie up their budgets, and how is everything being managed? And then, of course, go back to what you would do normally if we were on campus.
Well, I would say my job really hasn't changed being on campus or being off campus, because we're still spending a little bit of money. We still have payroll. We still have budget needs that we have to take care of through the VP of Student Affairs. So I would say that in in that aspect, my job is just lessened because there's no competitions, there's no travel. There's not many equipment purchases, that sort of thing. So am I still doing the same role? Pretty much. Picking up a few other things as well, just things that are, not letting things fall through the cracks within the department. But just the tracking of things is lessened a little bit, but pretty much everything has stayed the same in my role.
What a lot of people don't realize is the amount of receipts that you probably see on a daily basis when we are all on campus and functioning normally. And it's a little bit of an archaic system to get all that tracked and recorded. Kind of talk a little bit about how much of a pain that might be, but how important it is, for you to do the job and to make sure that, our financials match up.
Well, so you talk about receipts, and one of the wildest things with university accounting is when you get a receipt and it's that film receipt, like you get from, say, Target or really anywhere that's like a filming receipt, you have to make sure you don't tape over any of the numbers or anything on the receipt, because when you tape over it, the adhesive from the tape disintegrates the print. And then when it gets to university accounting, they can't read anything. And then it gets kicked back. And then we have to do a whole new process. So in the past, yes, a lot of receipts because I reconcile and do all travel expenses for everybody in the department from Brian on down. So there are a lot of receipts. There are times that my floor is covered with receipts because I'm reconciling a travel card for myself or for one of the people in the department. So it can be tedious, but it's also sometimes a little bit nice to be able to focus on something of that aspect and not be looking at a spreadsheet or trying to, work a budget and that sort of thing. So it kind of helps with the balance, even as tedious as it can be.
Now, athletics is obviously, by going around the room and each of you kind of explaining what you do on a normal basis, an athletics department is more than just wins and losses and student athletes getting out there. Number one, first and foremost, we are here for the student athletes, and all the stuff that we do it for them so that they can go out and compete. And I can tell you that as busy as it is and as chaotic as it is when we are on campus, I know that I can speak for all of you, and I know that you guys can agree with me, is that we miss the chaos. We miss being crazy, miss having people lined up outside our offices and waiting to talk to us and the amount of laundry there is. I bet, Sarah, you can't wait to go back and do more laundry. I mean, nobody wants to say that. No one wants to do that, but that just means that we're back on campus and doing things normal. And it's been a tough couple months, but we've been doing what we can to keep things fresh so that when we do come back, it's business as usual. And I don't think we've skipped a step. I think this is one of the greatest. I know this is one of the greatest staffs that I've been a part of, and proud to be a Bronco, that's for sure. Along those lines, I wanted you guys to think about what your favorite moment or most memorable moment that you can think of that has happened in your time here at Cal Poly Pomona. What is your favorite moment that stands out in your mind that has to do with something athletics wise, a team that won a championship, maybe something a student even came up to you and said and thanked you for doing something? What is your favorite moment while working here at Cal Poly Pomona? And I'll start with Scott.
Well, Tyler, I've got a lot of these moments. I've been here for almost 18
you've been here
years.
Probably longer than any of us here. Pam.
Well, not only have I been here longer, I happen to get out to a lot of our sporting events. I've seen a lot of events. I've seen a lot of student athletes over the years. So I hope you give me enough time over here, because you did prepare us to do this.
I said one.
All right. Well, if you want one, I can do one. But basically, I wrote down six on here
right,
from
let's
esports. So
hear 'em.
real quick, I'll just go through. So the first thing that came to my mind was 2019 CCA track championships. You were there, and it was the final race, the men's 4x4, and we had to win it to get into second place. We won the race. It was fantastic seeing our program, our coaches, our student athletes, successfully compete in that event. So that was definitely one. Another one I have in 2011, the women's basketball regionals. We hosted. We were the number 1 seed. We beat like the number 17 country in the country, Grand Canyon University. It was the first time we hosted like a basketball event in our gym and stuff. So that was a lot of fun. Went on to the Elite Eight for women's basketball there. Then men's soccer, the West Regional in 2018, where we played at APU to win the West Region. Gabriel Castillo scored like an 85th minute. We were going crazy. And at the same time, volleyball was beating or had beaten APU at Western Washington. While I was at the APU game, I'm watching on my phone the volleyball game. So I'll always remember that one. It was a cold night too.
Very
at
cold.
APU on that night. Then the other one, absolute 2014 women's soccer regional against Point Loma with 20 seconds left in the game. Alison Sauve scored this incredible goal on a mishap. We won that first region one and pile on top of her. It was definitely something that was at Cal State LA. Great program win for our women's soccer team, and I was there for that one. In fact, I was there for every single one of these except for that one in Western Washington for volleyball, since I was at APU for that one. Then we've got 2015 baseball, winning the West Regional Championship. We hosted it. It was at Mount Sac. I was on the side of the dugout over there, and it was a pile. Cody Ponce got the last out in that game. We just piled on each other. I got great pictures and posters of that in my office. That was one. And then the most memorable one for me, Tyler, is in 2010, men's basketball national championship. You might think it would be the national championship and winning that. It wasn't. It was actually in the West region when we were playing at, again, Western Washington. And when you win a championship, there's always that game you're about to lose. Like UCLA and Tyus Edney in 95 had to get past Missouri, and Christian Laettner had to hit that shot against Kentucky. Well, Cal Poly had one of their own at Western Washington. They were the host. Thousands of people in the stands. Only a few of us made it to that game. It was me and Brian, the sports information director, the vice president. There was just a few of us there, and it was packed. And we were down with 0.6 seconds left, and Austin Swift hit a runner or a banker in the lane. Game goes into overtime. Again, 0.6 seconds left in the game. Inbound pass from Dahir to Dwayne Fells. Put that game in, won 76-75 in overtime. Go on to win the national championship in 2010. So sorry to take up the time, but I have a lot of those memories, so thought I'd share that with you.
Well worth it. I know that Western Washington, they bring out some great crowds for their teams. And so that must've been an incredible atmosphere and definitely great for Cal Poly Pomona. That's for sure.
Quick story on that one. It was so crowded there. Brian and I could not sit or stand behind our bench. We had to go into the opponent category. They didn't know we were with Cal Poly Pomona, but when we scored that last basket and won, we wanted to jump around and go on the floor, but we were surrounded by thousands of Western Washington Viking fans, and we were just calm about it until the game ended. And anyway, that's always sticks out in my mind.
Let's switch things up a little bit. How about Mr. Farrell?
Yeah, so there was one moment that really kind of sticks out to me, and Scott brought back a lot of cool memories, but mine's not championship related. Mine's about something different with our student athletes. 2 years ago, we had a school come over to do a tour of our facilities, and this was a small school, about 20-25 students, and they really wanted to pop their head in to see inside Kellogg Arena. But our women's basketball team was practicing. And if you know anything about practice, it's very structured. There's a certain time limit. You can't really alter anything. And so we brought the kids in, and we just stood in the corner, and we were just watching for just a couple of minutes. And Coach Bishop came over and just included these kids into practice. And she full on stopped her practice. They stopped running drills. They started playing games with the kids. They even sang one of the kids' birthdays, so they sang happy birthday. They had a dance battle, and it was a really cool moment because it really showed that our student athletes and our coaches that they understand that they're not bigger than the game, that they understand that they're role models into the community, and that they had these kids come over and they made these kids' afternoons by signing autographs and just taking pictures with them and just interacting and having a conversation. And so it was just a really cool, heartwarming moment. And it was just a moment where I went back to my office and I sat down and I was like, you know what, I'm proud to be a Bronco because I witnessed that. It was just something that was really cool. And, you know, to get a coach to stop practice in the middle of the season to entertain a bunch of, you know, 7-8-year-olds, it was a really, really humbling moment. And it was something that was very heartwarming, and it will stick with me the rest of my career.
That is one thing about especially this level of competition and being at a state school, we share, even though it is our home facility, we share it with the rest of campus. And so we almost have to reserve our own gym to practice and to play games. And so, yes, it is very structured and everyone's on a time limit, but that's a testament to all of our teams, and especially women's basketball, who does recognize the importance of community and bringing the community in. And that's just really, it's a great story. It is. And that's
Absolutely.
just how Cal Poly Pomona is.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond just women's basketball too. All 11 of our programs, they all do an excellent job of interacting in the community with the youth in the community, with our fan base. And so it's a program where everybody underneath this umbrella understands that they're not bigger than the game of the sport that they play, that they know their role, they know their place, and that they know that they're here to be an impact for the younger generation. And so it's very cool. It's a very humbling experience.
Absolutely. Jenny, what is your favorite moment?
Well, I don't know how to follow up with those two.
I was thinking that too.
I mean, this is athletic wise, this is probably, or it is the most successful program I've ever been at. Like the very, from the very beginning, like I know Scott mentioned, I think it was 2015 with the baseball team, winning West Region, moving on to the national championships. I mean, every year something happens. Men's soccer, women's soccer, volleyball, baseball, track and field, All-Americans, national champions. So it's crazy to pick just one. So I thought I'd kind of take a different direction as well, and just kind of with all our successes and understanding that coaches and student athletes are athletics and academics is on their mind. Like the other thing I think that we do really well in this department that I have a lot of memories of too is just being like a really close knit family. We're a really small program. Everybody knows each other. Everybody knows, personal things about each other, and we can talk about them in the hallway, beyond athletics. And my experience with that, it's, if you don't know me, I'm like the token plant-based freak in the department. So everybody knows I love animals, probably more than people sometimes. But people either, joke about it, or they have serious conversations about it, or so it feels good to have my colleagues know me on a different level than just the compliance officer. And a couple of good examples are, head coach Randy Benton and head coach Greg Kamansky, both on separate occasions, call me at 9:30 at night because they are having issues with their dogs. And it just makes me feel good that they're feeling like, oh my gosh, I can call Jenny. She's gonna, help us out or talk us through this or whatever. And of course I don't have any veterinarian experience, but, it just made me feel good that, they think about that. They think about me when they have dog problems. Garrett Jensen is his student athlete on the men's soccer team. He would come into my office, and if I wasn't there, he would keep coming back because he wanted to share with me. He was so excited that he adopted a plant-based diet as well, and he had questions about recipes and protein, and Jordan Jackman, exciting to tell me about these great restaurants and stuff. So, and it goes beyond that. I mean, Mike and Tyler, we have like a little group chat going on sometimes, and most of the time we're making fun of each other, but most of the time they're making fun of me. But it's like a brotherly thing. You're like a bratty brother, so it's just fun. I don't know. I just love it. So.
I do tell my wife that I feel bad every once in a while. I think Mike and I may make Jenny cry sometimes. And so I do feel bad, but yeah, that is, it is Cal Poly Pomona athletics. We're a close knit family, and, and that's the great part about working here. So it goes beyond, competition on the field and on the court and whatnot. So great story. Sarah.
So I've only been at Cal Poly for a year, a little over a year. So last year was my first year at Cal Poly. And if I have to think of like a memorable sports moment, it would be last year's men's basketball first round CCAA game against Dominguez Hills that went overtime, and like the crowd went crazy. Like that was so cool. That, and then you guys talk about family, but just Sonia, who retired, I drove down with her and her sister to go watch men's basketball in San Diego. Like, who does that? That's so cool, So that's one thing. But on the other side of working in college athletics at the Division II level, what I love so much is having student workers, and I depend on them so much. But what makes me love it the most is getting asked to write like letters of recommendation for a scholarship, or yesterday I received an email for a letter of recommendation for a sheriff's department for one of our alumni. And one of those things where like these kids are going out into the workforce and being able to speak on their behalf of their work ethic and their dependability and all of that is one of the things I love the most about Division II athletics to begin with. And Cal Poly Pomona is such a good foundation, I think, that allows us to give these student athletes and students at the school a good start, a good foundation. So men's basketball game and student workers, two memorable things at Cal Poly right now.
Absolutely. And Pam.
Well, I'll go back to the field, court, track, whatever you want to call it. But actually, for me, it's the track. I actually began my career at Cal Poly Pomona as an assistant track coach. And our first year, we went to the conference championships up at San Francisco State. And I coached hurdles and sprints. And our men's 4x1 team won the 4x1 relay by like 0.100th of a second. So that was pretty memorable. And being able to be on the victory stand with them and give them their medals, that was pretty memorable for me. So I would have to go with that moment for this time.
Moving on to some of the more fun stuff, I guess. We're moving into the rapid fire questions. You guys ready? All right. What is your favorite genre of music?
80s.
I'm going to go with 80s.
I'll go with country.
60s rock and roll.
I'd go with the 80s as well.
Okay. What was your first ever job?
First ever job. I worked for a software company putting on those gigantic film reels on these gigantic computers. So I was kind of like a runner. That was my first job. I was maybe 16 years old because I could drive to a place that allowed me to do that.
Okay, I'm not sure if mine counts, but my brother, who's 5 years older than me, he had a paper route. And for a little bit, when I was like 11, I would like get up early and fold the newspapers for him and put them in the bag. And then he would go and deliver them. That was my first job.
Did he compensate you for that, or did he
Of
just
course.
take? Okay, all right.
My first regular paying job, student worker in college at Wayne State.
Okay.
I had the best job in high school. I drove the range picker on the driving range at the local golf course.
Nice.
My first job was actually glazing donuts at a little mom and pop donut shop.
Okay. All right. My first job was courtesy clerk at Safeway, bagging groceries for 18 months in high school. Oh, I got stories up for days working as the courtesy clerk at Safeway. If you had to live in a different state, what state would you live in?
I think it would be Hawaii.
Maybe Colorado.
Nebraska.
Oregon.
South Carolina.
Okay. Wow. Very different, everybody. I like it. What is something you could eat for a week straight?
I could eat this new restaurant I found that has really good chicken strips called Raising Cane's.
I'm gonna go with the vegan mac and cheese.
I'm gonna go with avocado toast.
So many choices, but I'm gonna probably go with grilled cheese sandwiches.
I have to go with carne asada tacos.
Can anyone guess what mine would be?
Pizza.
Dr. Pepper,
Sour strips.
Okay.
Red Bull,
That's good. Okay. All right.
Round table pizza.
Chipotle.
Chipotle.
Okay.
You have like 4 items that you rotate through.
Okay. Anyway, which
It's funny.
Are
that
you,
we
well,
know
are you
that.
going to answer? Are you going to answer?
I would say pizza. Yeah. I mean,
Yes,
yeah,
winner.
Of course. Yeah. Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
4th of July.
Christmas.
Thanksgiving.
Christmas.
I'd probably say the same myself too. And I don't want to make you guys feel old, but 30 years ago yesterday, the original Home Alone was released. Can you believe that? 30 years ago? Okay. How would you rate your karaoke skills on a scale of 1 to Mariah Carey?
Negative 1,200.
4.
Am I good at it? No. Will I do it? Yes. I would say a 7.
I think I'm phenomenal at karaoke. I don't know if anyone will agree with it, but I think I'm great. I would probably say I'm like a solid 8, for sure, a solid 8.
I would say, since I've never done it before, I would say definitely a big 0.
Okay. Favorite childhood TV show?
Favorite childhood TV show? God, I can't. There's so many. I mean, this goes back a long way. It dates me, but there were, Chips on TV. There was Emergency One. I mean, $6 Million Man. I know that dates me, but those are the things that pop into my mind.
I'm dating myself too, but mind you, these were actually reruns. Three's Company.
I would go back to Disney's Recess is my favorite.
Oh, so young.
South Park. My brother and I used to watch South Park together. I don't know why our parents let us, but that was what we grew up watching.
So that's what happened.
That's where it went wrong.
So I'll date myself as well. I would have to say the Brady Bunch.
Okay. I would personally say Full House. That was a good one.
Uncle Jesse.
That's right. All right, and this one I know I have to ask it, and I know I'm going to hate the answers, but what's your favorite professional sports team?
Lakers or Dodgers?
The Las Vegas Kitty Cats. No, I'm just kidding. The LA Chargers.
The Dodgers.
They are kitty cats.
These guys.
Dodgers. So Mike, you can go.
The team that just beat the Seahawks the other day.
I'll go with the team that has 6 Super Bowl rings, the San Francisco 49ers.
Both teams I really dislike. Sarah, what'd you say yours was?
The Dodgers.
Dodgers. Okay. All right. Moving on. Trivia. Okay. All right. Today's trivia battle will test your knowledge in college mascots and nicknames. Okay. To be more specific, to make it a little bit more difficult, there'll be mascots or nicknames of Division II schools. Okay. For example, Cal Poly Pomona Broncos. That's what I'm looking for. Another example, Cal State LA Golden Eagles. Okay. So for this game, to buzz in with the answer, you yell your name and raise your hand at the same time. All right. Here we go. Humboldt State.
Jenny.
Scott.
I heard Jenny.
Lumberjacks.
Very good. Oh,
Better know that. She only went there.
Yeah.
Jenny's on the board. I'm surprised. I'm shocked. Well, I mean, I guess that is her school. I thought she wouldn't have a point in this.
Oh, gosh.
That's maybe the only point
That's
she gets.
her
See what I was
only
talking
one
about?
for
This
the day.
brotherly love I have here.
Academy of Arts.
Sarah.
Sarah.
The Knights.
I'll take that. Urban Knights.
Urban Knights.
Yes. Out of San Francisco, the Pac West. Cal State East Bay.
Mike.
Scott.
Mike.
Pioneers.
Very good. Wayne State College.
Sarah.
Sarah.
Wildcats.
Very good.
Just getting the hard ones.
Wayne, Nebraska, out of the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference. They're also in the Central Region. So I'm gonna go all across the country here. So I hope you guys are ready. Biola. I guess it's the SID. I thought this would be easy, but Biola. 3, 2, 1.
What? Give us a hint. Another hint.
Bird.
Eagles. Sarah. Eagles.
Eagles. Correct. All right. Sarah leads us 3-1. Stanislaus State.
Scott.
Scott.
Warriors.
Very good. Sonoma State.
Scott.
Yeah.
Scott.
Seawolves.
Very good. Grand Valley State.
Sarah.
Sarah.
Are they they're not the antelopes.
No, that's Grand Canyon.
All right.
Grand Valley State.
Oh, Mike.
Mike,
The Lakers?
are you cheating?
No.
He Googled it.
Man, oh man.
My hands are right here.
Okay. Mike,
Here, I'll
all
share
right,
my
I'll
screen
give
with
that
you
to you
so you
then.
know I'm not cheating. I actually, back in the day, I built Grand Valley State's website. That's how I remembered it.
Yes, working for CBS
At
Sports.
CBS Sports.
Very nice.
They were one of my clients.
All right. West Texas A&M.
That was the team we beat in the.
A lot of these teams we've played recently, so I wanted to make it somewhat easy. We played them in the men's soccer Elite Eight to go to Pittsburgh
At APU.
at APU. West Texas A&M.
I'd take a guess. It's probably wrong. Aggies, but
No.
They're maroon and white, aren't they?
They are. 5 seconds.
What? Can we get another hint? Go ahead, Pam.
I've been to their softball field, but I cannot remember what their logo was.
The Shorthorns.
It is a
Bobcats.
farm animal, maybe.
The pigs.
Maybe a farm animal? I don't know. No, maybe not a farm animal. I don't know. I think it's a wild. Okay, buffaloes. Buffaloes.
Not a farm animal.
Definitely not a farm animal.
Okay, all right. Moving on. Fresno Pacific.
Sarah.
Sarah,
Sunbirds.
correct.
See, that's Sarah's SID background.
That is true.
That's a cheating.
That is true. University of Tampa.
Pam, I'll take a guess. The Waves.
No.
That's what we played in the College World Series, but I cannot think of their mascot.
The Marlins.
Nope.
The Dolphins.
The Rays.
No.
We got all the pro teams covered in
The Lightning.
The Spartans. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Central Washington.
Sarah. Wildcats.
You like those Wildcats. All right. Sarah leads this 5-2 to 2-1 to Pam.
0.
0. Which is, very I know that you're a Division I. You are all about Division I. You watch college sports, 3 TVs in your living room on a Saturday.
Yeah, striking out big time.
I work on your Division II knowledge here.
There you go.
St. Martin's. Nah, Saints. St. Martin's Saints. Out of
Wasn't
I
gonna
didn't say
get
that,
that.
but I thought that was too easy. Like, it couldn't be Saints.
Let's see. That one's gonna be hard.
With this group, it'll
I'm
be
now
just
skipping
impossible.
some because there's no
Unlike
way.
the rest of them.
There is no way.
Exactly.
Hawaii Pacific. They've even changed mascots in the last couple of years. Sarah,
Are they the Sharks?
they are.
Who is the Rainbows?
That's
Hawaii.
Hawaii. University of Hawaii. Cal State San Marcos.
Jenny.
Jenny.
The Cougars.
Wow.
Very good.
Our own.
I almost denied you that. You
You
can't just
said
call
no.
your name and then think about it. You gotta blurt it out as soon as you're called on. Western Oregon.
Wolves. Mike,
Did you-
the Wolves. Mike,
Treasure.
Oh, we could have gotten
There
it.
you go.
Stolen
Okay.
it.
Mike, the Wolves.
The Wolves, got it. Dominican University of California. Sarah.
Penguins.
Penguins, correct. California University of Pennsylvania. No one's going to get this, I know. But here's a hint. They have the same mascot nickname as a team in the Pac West.
Really helps.
Oh, man.
I'll take a stab. The Cougars.
Incorrect.
Damn.
As one of the, I'll say one of the Pac West schools in Hawaii. And obviously
you
can't
narrow
be
it
the
down?
Sharks.
Oh,
Mike.
is it Chaminade?
The Swords.
No,
Swords. What are they? The Swordsmen or whatever?
that's
Chaminade?
Chaminade, the Silver Swords.
Swords.
Silver Swords. That's it.
So we
I got
talk
the
about-
school. Do I get credit
So
for that?
what other Hawaii school do we have?
Oh,
Scott, Vulcans?
Yes, there you go. The Vulcans. Very nice. And finally, University of Alaska Fairbanks.
Mike,
Mike.
the Bears. Polar Bears.
Jenny.
Grizzly Bears.
The
Brown Bears.
You cheated.
The something
Cheater.
Bears.
Shift.
Bearstein Bears.
What do you got, Jenny? Let's see.
Well, I was going to say the Grizzlies.
No.
Wait, are
Polar
they
bears.
green and yellow?
No, that's Alaska Anchorage.
Anchorage, you're right.
They're blue and yellow, blue and gold.
Bruins.
Scott,
Scott,
the Nanooks.
there you go.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I was close with Bears.
That's why I almost wanted to give it to you. At this point, we've this game's lost on all of us. So
Put us out of our misery.
Yes, the Nanooks. All right. Sarah wins that with 7 points. Scott 4, Mike 3, Jenny 2, and Pam. Goose egg. I know we are way over time, but I wanted to go around the room one more time, and if any of you could give a piece of advice in a very short sentence to our student athletes, and how to stay positive in these unprecedented times, what would you say to them?
I would say to remember how important people are and how important the relationships you have and continue to build and foster are extremely important, not only today, but throughout your entire life and career.
I'll go next. I'll tell them to use this as an opportunity. Use this to find something new about themselves that they didn't know before, whether that's a new skill, a new career path, new something. Don't just waste the day sitting around. Use it and be productive with it and try to find something new about yourself.
I just say hang in there. We'll get through this. We'll be back on the courts and the fields soon enough. And we'll get through this.
I would say just to celebrate the little victories. I've said that a few times in meetings prior, but the little wins of the day, to not overlook those, to celebrate the little victories and little wins, even though in a regular day it'd probably be not that big of a deal, but to be positive and celebrate what you can.
I'm stuck. I don't know, but ditto everybody else. No. I guess just I like Mike's answer. Just try to take this opportunity to learn new things, plant a garden, learn a new skill. But
Jenny, I planted some tomato bushes in my house too.
I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
I also will speak for everybody that says, if somebody is a student athlete is watching this, even a coach, member of the, university community, if you're struggling with something, whether it's personal things, whether it's, other issues that's going on in your life, reach out to us. We obviously don't, we're struggling with our own things, but we're here for each other. We're family. We can at least lend an ear for anybody who wants to, just talk about things. These 6 people on the screen, in addition to our athletic trainers, Stephanie Duke, Brian Swanson, Dr. Laura Chase, really anyone in our department, reach out to us if you need somebody to talk to or some advice. We're here for you. We're not on campus. None of us are on campus, but we're here to help. So I hope that kind of opens the door for anybody who may need any kind of support through these times. We're always going to be here for our student athletes and for each other. So it's crazy times, but we'll get through this. And we'll be back on it. We'll be back playing, and I can tell you that I'm really excited for that day, for sure. So that's the administrative support staff of the Cal Poly Pomona Department of Intercollegiate Athletics. In student service, that's Scott Tsuji, and business operations, Pam Donnelly. Compliance and internal relations, Jenny Heimstead. Marketing and promotions, Mike Farrell. And facilities and events, Sarah Macias. Thank you, everyone, for being with me on the BroncCast. That'll do it for episode 11 of the BroncCast. I want to thank Assistant Athletic Director Scott Tsuji, Pam Donnelly, Jenny Heimstead, Mike Farrell, and Sarah Macias for joining me today. For new episodes of the BroncCast each week, make sure to visit our website at broncoathletics.com/podcasts and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at our handle CPP Broncos. Weekly podcasts are also available for free download on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio. For everyone in the CPP Department of Intercollegiate Athletics, I'm Tyler Lobe, encouraging you to make it a great day, reminding you that Black Lives Matter, and we want to wish you and your families a very happy and safe Thanksgiving. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, but until then, and as always, go green, go gold, go Broncos.